Okie dokie, let's try it again. All right, so plan for this video is to do a quick tour of Inventor, how to get to it, and what everything's called inside of all the different parts of the program. We are then going to do the run through of the settings you need to change in Inventor for this year, and then we will make part I from the green sheet, which looks like that. Okay, so first from the very beginning, the way you get to the program is through the school menu, which is what the startup menu or whatever is called. This thing, which if you don't know how to get to this thing, is probably through the start button. I know the desktops are new to most of you, or at least half of you. I guess that is what most means. But if you do, I know, down here in the search right there, you can do school menu, open school menu. If you don't have it on your taskbar or start or whatever, the software is in number 6 departments. And then the last one is the tech and career ed. And then the second one is Autodesk Inventor. Okay, give that one a double click to open it up. And we are in Inventor. Okay, so all right, so once you are in Inventor, yours will probably look something, you'll have like the home screen up, I guess, but yours will probably be blank since you don't have any files yet. Okay, so in order to start a file, you need to go to New, and there are 4 file types. Make sure that when you're starting a new file, you are choosing this little arrow in between the new and the open buttons. Okay, the reason for that is this dropdown gives you the default version of all 4 file types, where if you click on the new button, which is right there, the new one gives you those 4 file types, but tons of different starting settings that we don't want to mess with. We want these settings to be default. Okay, and these are the 4 file types in the order that you would build. We'd always start with part. Okay, part is the most basic element in the program, and it can be as complex as you want, but it is a single component, and that part has this is what a part will look like. This is a queen from a chess set, and okay, so the most basic, let me turn on the user interface. You need to have the model browser up, which is this thing. Okay, so the next, I don't want to say most basic, but what you would build next is an assembly. An assembly is a combination of parts that are constrained together, and it can be, again, as complex as you like, or simple as you like, but it's several different part files that are all locked together. The third or next one would be like a presentation file. A presentation takes an assembly, and when you put the assembly into it, you can then do what's called tweak components. And tweak components like pulls the parts out, and you can do a couple things. You can use that as a drawing of how things go together, like an assembly view, or you can do a real basic animation. Our more advanced animations are going to be in the assemblies. Okay, assemblies are much more useful when it comes to advanced animations, like this pencil sharpener. If I can get Inventor Studio to pop up. This again is I've gone back to an assembly, and if this opens up, it will look like this. And you can do I think this is pretty advanced. It's a little choppy here in the preview, but if we rendered it, it would be a lot smoother. And yeah, so that's a, I don't know, medium advanced type of thing that some of you will be capable of in not too long a time. Okay, and then so we've got part files, the basic. Assembly is putting parts together. Presentation is the for exploded views and for real basic animations. And the last one is a drawing file. And drawing files are like blueprints. Once you design something, you need to be able to communicate what it looks like and its size and shape so that somebody else could at least could build it identically. And it is just a flat, let's see here. Let's choose, all right, well, that's fine. Just a, like a, yeah, like I said, a blueprint of the part, and then we will eventually be putting dimensions on it where it's, you know, how long is this line? Well, eventually, if we can get the dimension tool going. There we go. You know, how long is the distance from here to here or something like that, which that isn't actually a useful dimension, but it, and of course, there'll be setting changes will make a lot easier. Okay, so those are the 4 file types. The most basic one, like I said, is the part file, which is where we're going to start for everything. And a quick tour around. Okay, top toolbar or tool ribbon, I guess, the different tabs with the toolbar being what's underneath it. If your toolbar looks like this, which is like a minimized version, or this, or even more minimized, you need to click on this sort of tab shape button, not the drop down next to it in this case, just the middle button in the middle there, and have it so that you see your full expanded toolbar. Okay. On the left, this is called the browser bar or model browser. You need to have it there. If it's closed, let me know. I'll remind you how to do it, but in case you can remember how to do it, it's under View User Interface, and it's called Model Browser. This is critical. This is like the history of the shape, or like, you know, undo. You would undo. The problem is if you have something complex and you want to go change the second of your 6 different part features, you can't just undo all of them. It would undo everything, but you can go back and edit different portions of it. Like, well, this one's all constrained. That was a horrible example, but you can go back and change its shape or size after the fact. Okay, so I could go, let's see here, edit, it's probably this one, edit feature. And instead of undoing the entire part, you know, you can go back and change one thing. Of course, that was clearly not the right thing to change. Okay, so browser bar, obviously your workspace. Over here is your view cube, which you can click on. It's probably the easiest way to manipulate the work or the model, where you can click on a face and look at a 2-dimensional. Click on an edge is that 2-dimensional still? Either way, it's a, yeah, 2-dimensional projection. And then corner is 3D. The home button, or this home icon, will always take you to front top right, which is going to be our default view. Anytime we have a part, unless it's labeled otherwise, front is always going to be this side, top is always going to be this side, and right is always going to be this side. I mean, it could technically be front, left, top, or something like that, but it doesn't matter so long as we agree, so we can name things. And so we're going to stick with front, top, right as our default home view. There are some other tools here. There is, what do they call this? The view, like look tool or something. And you can bring that out and choose orbit or pan. But there are, let me close this. I really don't like this. There's free orbit. That's probably as useful as anything. And same with pan or the grippy hand. But you have shortcuts on a keyboard if you're into that. Well, we'll work on that later. Okay, so there's that. Let's go through a couple settings that you need. Okay, under tools and application options, which may be all the way to the left if you don't have a part open. And when it's open, you're going to go to the Sketch tab, which might be on the front row, might be on the back row, but either way, Sketch. You need to turn on grid lines, and you need to turn on auto project edges for sketch creation and edit. This thing is tools, application options. Tool ribbon on the back, the tool tab on across the top. Tools and then application options. Okay. So turn on grid lines and turn on auto project edges for sketch. The third one here, auto project edges for sketch creation and edit. Hit apply. And then in the assembly tab, turn on place and ground first component at origin. Fly through it. Okay, so under the assembly tab, okay, which again might be in the front or the back, turn on place and ground first component at origin. Make sure that's on, then hit apply. And the last one, I'd like for you to change your colors to match mine. It will make it easier if your like dimension lines are the same color as mine, where if you choose a different one, each of these colors represents a different type of line. And if yours match mine, you're better off. So I have it at Millennium and Gradient. It will be easier for you to do this and easier for me to help you if you match colors. Okay, so first part we're going to do is the part I from the green sheet. So we need a new part file from the default. What's up? You probably guessed the wrong password 3 times, I'm guessing. Is that what happened? All right, give me a minute and I'll help you out. I'd say try a different computer, and then if that doesn't work, I'll help you here in a minute. Okay, so there's 2 basic modes. There's sketch mode and part mode. Okay, sketch mode is for 2-dimensional tools and, squares and circles that you draw on a flat surface. And then the part modes are the extrusion and whatnot. And so we're going to start a 2D sketch, and we are almost always going to start on the XY plane because that's the plane that corresponds to front. It's not necessary. There's no up in our 3D world. It just is what we're used to. And because these parts are not going to be assembled, there's not a significant advantage to starting on the XY plane, but it is a good habit and it will match mine for the remainder of this part. Okay, so if you turn on grid lines, when you go to start a sketch anywhere, it will give you the grid lines. That is one of the reasons we turned grid lines on, is so you know you're sketching as opposed to a part mode. Okay, and this sketch plane that I've made is in the middle of the universe here on the X and Y plane, and we are going to sketch on it. And our sketch tools have popped up when we made a sketch. If you switch back and forth, it doesn't always pop over to sketch, but usually does. And our strategy, there's 2 basic ideas for modeling, which is like, clay modeling, not fashion modeling. When you're modeling, like sculpting, the 2 basic ideas are create material and cut material. Okay, and referred to as additive and subtractive. And you can usually do anything complex is going to be a combination of the 2. And the sort of path or strategy we're going to do for this one is to make a box, a cube. It's not really a cube, but a box that is the maximum dimension in all 3 dimensions for this part. And then once we have that, we're going to then draw the shape we want to cut away and cut extrude it. Okay, so our first box, we need to start by drawing one of the rectangles of it, which we'll just start by drawing the front, which in this case is 9 blocks wide and 6 blocks tall. And on the top of the page, it says each grid is a 1/4 inch. We're just going to stick with each grid being an inch. There's no reason to not to. And so to start, we need a rectangle tool. And you can start a rectangle anywhere. And for this, it works fine. And it doesn't matter if it's in the exact universe or the exact center of the universe. But I generally like to start from 0, 0. And you can see that you get a snap at the, this is 0, 0, 0. It's 0, X and Y, but it's also 0. It's the origin point, okay? And like I said, you don't have to snap your parts to there, but I think it works better, or it's at least more constrained. And so we need to make a rectangle, okay? Almost all the tools in Inventor are click once, move your cursor, click again. They're not click and drag. For a rectangle, it's not a big deal. But for the line tool, the idea is you click on whatever point you want to start on, move your cursor, and click again to set it. If you do click and drag with the line, it will give you an arc, which is not what you want. Okay, you want click, move your cursor, click again. Okay, so we have a rectangle. We need to dimension it. In part mode, or excuse me, in part files, dimensioning is about changing the shape of something, but then also locking it in. And we need this to be 9 wide and 6 tall. So I have the dimension tool, which is also keyboard shortcut D. And I'm going to dimension one of the horizontal lines. Okay, you'll notice when you get close to the exact center point or the corner, you get another snap. In this case, it's a soft snap, that red dot. And in the middle here, it's a hard snap, that green dot. We just want to dimension the length of the line. So we're going to click once on the line and click again to set it. Just like a tool, you should get the pop-up, and you can just press, oh no, wait, it's 9 wide. Hit enter. Okay, you see it changed the shape. It also changed the color of these because they are now constrained. If you were to click and drag these black lines, you can't change their place. You can still change this, and that's because nothing vertically is constrained. And it should tell you, okay, yeah, you can see down here, it says 1 dimension needed in order for it to be fully constrained. And so we'll do that there. Full click, move over, click again. And we want this to be 6 tall. And there we go. There's our rectangle. It says fully constrained down here. And all the lines are either black or dark blue, whatever that is. And so we're going to click Finish Sketch. And it usually will pop back to our front top right. But because we made it bigger than that, it's going to zoom out. We should be able to hit home and it'll zoom out, or the home key on your keyboard, which is above the arrow keys. And so now we have our first closed loop, which is what you need in order to extrude. Okay, we're going to use extrude more than everything else combined times 10. Okay, extrude is everything. And we don't need to choose anything to extrude because there's only one thing to extrude. It chooses it for you. Later on, when we have more complex shapes, you'll have to choose. But we need to choose how far to extrude it. Okay, how far do we want to pull it out? And if we look at this, we can see that if this is the rectangle we have, we need to extrude it its depth, which is 4. And for this, it doesn't really matter which direction, as long as it's 4. We could have it coming towards us based on what we drew. We could have it going away from us based on what we drew, have it symmetrical based on what we drew, or asymmetrical, where it is, some in one direction and the rest in the other direction. For this, just direction A is fine, and actually, really any of them, as long as the distance is 4 and we hit OK. Okay, so now we have our chunk of marble, and we're going to cut away everything that is in our sculpture. And the thing we want to cut away, first we're going to draw a triangle on the front here. We're going to get a new sketch and draw a triangle that's in this exact location. And then we're going to cut extrude to remove this material we don't want. Okay, so we're going to draw a sketch on the front face. So let's go ahead and do Start 2D Sketch. Anytime there's a tool button or icon with a drop down below it, the drop down is just sort of other versions of the same type of tool. But if there's a drop down and it says the tool you want, you can just click on the icon. And in this case, we are always going to start 2D sketch. We are never going to do a 3D sketch. I don't know if I've ever done a 3D sketch. And so start 2D sketch. And we want to sketch on the front. Okay. This, you need to do a full click. If you click and drag, it will try to give you an offset plane, which is not what we want. We want to be sketching directly on the surface there. Okay, so that's not what we want. What we want is the just sketching on the front, which is here. Okay, and because you have auto project edges for sketch creation and edit, it draws the outside line, which is super useful. So now we just need to draw the line that connects, or the line that makes this shape, and then cut extrude it. The key is we need to know where this line goes. For any sloped line, you don't need to know its length if you know where it starts and where it finishes. If you know where a line starts and finishes, you know the line. Okay, so where does it start and finish? Well, it starts here, which is up here, which is 5 blocks away from, yeah, take the hard pass. So, over here by the front. The line goes from here to here. And like I said, we need to know both parts or both points. This is where it's going to start, which is 5 from the side. It's 5 this direction. And it's going to finish down here somewhere, which is 2 from the bottom. So we're just going to draw a line that looks close to what we want, which it is critical that you snap it to the top line here. You can see when you get close, it kind of like clicks to the line. That's what you want. We want it to snap to the line, but we don't want it to snap to the exact center point. If you have it snap to the line and you get very close to the center, it will click to green like that. That locks in the exact center point as a constraint, and we don't want that. We want it to just be constrained to the edge so that we can put it in the exact location. Okay, a lot of times snapping to the middle is useful, but in this case it's not, because we don't want anything useful. We don't want it there. If we put it there, it wouldn't let us change it. So our first click is on the top line, and our second click is the same. It's somewhere on the sideline, but not the exact middle point and not the corner, just somewhere on there. Okay, and we can do right click, okay, right click, cancel, or the escape key on the keyboard to get rid of the tool. And now we need to put it in the correct location, which this end point right here is 5 away from this side. So we're going to do a different type of dimensioning that requires 3 clicks. We want to know or decide the distance from the end point of this line. Again, you can see I have the dimension tool on, and I can put my cursor near the end of this line, click once, put my cursor on the corner, click again, and then go out to the side or above it, out of the way, and click to set it. And this one needs to be 5. Okay, it needs to be 5 from the edge. Same thing here. I still have the dimension tool. First click on the end of the line, second click on the exact corner, like that snap, and third click in the middle, and this one needs to be 2. And we're fully constrained. There's no green lines, and that's generally a good idea to not, no, that's not what I want. Undo or clear, whatever. We'll show it later. And so I'm fully constrained. We'll finish sketch, and it goes back to home view. Great. And we're going to do extrude again. Now we need to choose what we want to actually extrude, which can be either the triangle we made. Well, we made this line. This is the one we want to affect, not this one. So we'll click on that. But we don't want to create material. We want to cut material, which is this second one here. Okay, join just means extrude and create. And then cut is this one. Now, when you do cut, 4 is fine for this. It cuts all the way through like it's supposed to. And for now, that truly doesn't matter. But normally we will do through all. When we do a cut, we want to do through all. And that is because if we change things later, it will still be through all. Okay, so if I leave it on exactly 4 and I had to go back and change the first one to make it bigger, like 5, the cut would still be 4. Where if I did it as through all, edit feature, well, you don't have to worry about edit feature, and I do through all, it looks the same at this point, but if I go through and edit the first one, it will now still be all the way through. Okay, through is persistent, where the exact number is, also persistent. Okay, so now we need to save this. We'll go up to the save icon, which is this one here, or you can go to the main menu, which is, wait, is there not a main? Oh, I guess file. And file, save. And when you save something, what I need you to do, let's make sure everything's good here. Good. Okay, just save it. And I'm sure a lot of you haven't done this type of file saving before. That's fine. Okay, make sure it says documents there. And if not, switch it to documents. And then file name, be consistent. Meaning if, like if you do, just call it part and then I. Okay, or lowercase if you love it. Part I, and hit save in your My Documents. Okay, and yeah, there it should be. Okay, I'm going to end this recording and then we'll go on to that's not good. Okay, well, either way, we'll fix it. And as soon as this processes, we'll put it up on